Well, for more on this, let's speak to Kit Nicholl. He's joining us from London. He's a political and security analyst at IHS, a company specialising in global policy and information. Kit, good to speak to you. So, are we entering a new normal now?
Well, there certainly have been a number of attacks in recent times. The attacks seem to be multiplying. And one potential motivation for this that one can see is the fact that Europe is currently a continent facing various different issues: political crisis, economic difficulties, the refugee crisis. So from the point of view of Islamic State's leadership, they have every incentive to want to further destabilize the continent now that there are so many issues. So we're seeing repeated calls from their leaders to carry out further attacks, and maintaining this rhythm keeps up the impetus to and keeps ISIS in the headlines.
And Kit, you mentioned Islamic State. That is the running theme through all of these attacks, isn't it?
It very much is, yes. And recently we've seen more and more lone wolf attacks as well. Particularly in recent weeks, there have been a number in France and Germany. And one reason for this is potentially the fact that many of them may also be copycat attacks. You see this spate of attacks splashed all over the media, the names of the supposed martyrs on everyone's lips, being glorified by IS-affiliated social media accounts. And this very much emboldens other individuals and gives them the sort of motivation and courage to carry on with these attacks. And all they need to do is pick up a knife or car keys and carry out an atrocity.
And Kit, as you'll know, the French media have actually not been reporting the faces of those guys who carried out that attack on a church for exactly that reason. Now, one thing I want to bring you on to is how you can sort of weigh civil liberties with security, because you can't shut down every city centre, you can't stop every event, but yet these attacks will continue unless some more draconian measures are taken.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's very tricky for a government to find that balance between civil liberties and security. And since this latest attack, the socialist government in France has been at pains to stress that it would maintain the constitutional order, that it wouldn't do anything that goes against French democratic principles. Then again, there have been calls both from the opposition and from the population at large for more strict or for policies that could curb this ever-growing terrorist threat in France. So we are going to see more measures being brought in. The opposition are calling for very draconian, as you're saying, measures whereby any French citizen would be interned or any foreign citizen deported, even if they had the most tenuous of link with the terrorist group. Now, the socialist government, we doubt, will bring in reforms of this sort, given the statements that they've been putting out. They've prolonged already the state of emergency. They're going to put more soldiers and police on the streets, even though they already find themselves overstretched. So the numbers are not going to be able to increase that significantly. But they are probably likely to bring in some measures with regards to reforming the intelligence agencies. Now, one of the recommendations of the inquiry into the Paris November attacks was to fuse the 6 intelligence units that deal with counterterrorism in France, seeing as there's often overlap and a bit of competition between them. So fusing these into one single intelligence force, which should have a more coherent approach. So they're bound to do something, although draconian measures I don't think we'll see, at least yet, in France.
OK, well, really interesting to talk to you. Kit Nicholl there from the IHS. We have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us on TRT World.